Out the facts of what the county commission was presented with on yesterday, which is a contract for UAB to operate and to manage Cooper Green Clinic. I want to say in advance that I'm not here to demonize those commissioners who decided to vote at this particular time for this item to go on our agenda on tomorrow. So I want to be very clear with that. And in addition to that, we want to make sure that the public, which is our duty as commissioners, are supposed to make sure that we're transparent in what we're doing. And so I wanted to be very clear that, first of all, the contract, as we know it, had three components, which was the makeup of this healthcare authority. And then in addition to that, secondly, it was about bonds being issued for a new clinic to be built. Last but not least, the sale of this current property along with the parking deck. Let me be very clear that we're not at all saying that UAB does not have the capacity, nor are we questioning the quality of the service that they provide. The contract did not stipulate those things that I just named. We're not talking about UAB, its inability to be able to take care of indigent patients. Historical background: in 1967, this hospital, as we formerly knew it as Cooper Green Hospital, came into being because we had so many indigent patients or indigent persons who were in Jefferson County. No one wanted to take care of them, which is the reason why the county assumed the role of taking care of its own indigent people, okay? And because of that, in 1972 is when Cooper Green Hospital, which was Mercy Health Services at the time, was then made to a hospital with 319 beds. 1975, this place would then be called Cooper Green after the former Jefferson County Commission president, which was Cooper Green. And we stand here before you today because we are at a crossroad. And what that crossroad is we're talking about the Indigent Care Fund. Though we have patients, and that's our primary concern, though we have employees and their pensions, that is also a concern. But let us be very clear. Yesterday was about a business proposal that was presented by UAB, and right now, we will say informally, has been voted on by three of the commissioners. Commissioners Tyson and myself were in opposition. Let me also say the reason why we're in opposition. First of all, this will put the county, in terms of its obligations, this would tie us up at least another 30 years in debt. This Indigent Care Fund, which is $54 million, if we go forward as this proposal is written today, then this would obligate the county about this brand new Cooper Green clinic to be built by UAB Healthcare Authority. That's really what it's about. It is about money, this Indigent Care Fund, and our ability to be able to pay for this Indigent Care Fund to continue. Now, let me just say this. When you speak of the patients who will qualify within indigent care are our low-income residents of Jefferson County. They are issued a card that they can present in order to be able to receive treatment and to be provided with services. But let me say again, yesterday's contract is not talking about the services to be provided by UAB. I want to stress, again, it is all about the makeup of the authority, which UAB will have 4. 3 would be those considered from the Jefferson County Commission, okay, which they have to agree. The president will also be chosen by UAB. And let me also say this, we're not even trying to demonize UAB. They're not the public enemy. So I was asked this question on yesterday, are we questioning the quality of the services, the kind of services? No, that's not what we're doing. What we are saying is be fair, be just, to the people who don't have a voice, and that's the poor people of Jefferson County, and for the individuals that are standing behind me who have to take care of people who fit within that category. And again, like I said yesterday, just be very mindful. This is about a contract. This is business. This is not talking about indigent people, low-income folk, okay, and the people who take care of them. And I will say this in closing, and then I'll entertain any questions that you have. This is about debt obligating Jefferson County. If we're not careful and we don't manage these health care costs, which right now UAB does not have a cap on any of their services. If we do not manage those costs, we could possibly be facing bankruptcy again as a county. That's what this is really about. So I'll entertain any questions that we have at this time.
I know yesterday one of the arguments was that UAB would accept the risk of patient costs. Can you talk about that? Is that clear in the write-up that you all received?
No, well, it's not a write-up, it's a contract. And the contract doesn't speak to that other than the Indigent Care Fund. And let me just tell you how the Indigent Care Fund actually came about. It's a legislative act, and that Indigent Care Fund is from the sales tax and liquor tax that we receive as a county. So that means that the county is actually giving over to UAB the taxes that we collect. We're giving it to them to take care of our indigent folk. Now here's the thing, if we're not careful, if the cost, for example, if an aspirin is $2.50 and if UAB wants to charge $15, then they are able to charge that because they have no cap. There are other healthcare providers that will also be affected by this as well, because if once we turn this Indigent Care Fund totally over to this UAB Healthcare Authority, what's going to happen is that those other entities will not have funds to be able to take care of our indigent people of Jefferson County. That will no longer exist, as I understand it.
Mr. Talk about other alternatives that were presented or were available.
Well, one of the alternatives that was available is that we could look at the Jefferson County Health Department and put so that our employees can remain with Jefferson County, because that's affecting their pension. Right now, with this agreement, they will not have a pension associated with this new authority, or at least it has not been identified. Let me just say that. And so when we talk about the pension, that's one set of rules. But if they go under the Jefferson County Health Department, then they already have a board established with qualified persons who sit on that board. That would be one option. Or we could sell, which is what the real estate portion of the contract was about. We could sell this existing facility and its parking deck, take those funds that were a part of the assets, and then we can purchase our own new facility, earmark that money for a new facility, and to be able to take care of our patients with our own indigent care fund.
I think you all agreed yesterday that staying the way it is right now is not an option, that something has to be done. Can you talk about the current state of the agreement?
Well, let me just say this. I don't believe when we say something has to be done. Let me also say this. As a new commissioner, that's the reason why, and as the pro tem of this commission, that's why I'm having this news conference today, because I am a new commissioner that within my first 7 months of office, I was just sworn in November. Here it is April, and I'm asked to make a decision that's going to affect people's quality of life, both the patient and for the employees. And I'm asked to make this kind of decision without, I mean, I've only been here 7 months. I'm asking for the courtesy to at least, even if those options that have been presented, which obviously I don't know all, I just heard about what was superior. Okay, so then let's define what is superior versus what you've already collected or received. Okay, and that being the case, the current state of Cooper Green is that A, the morale obviously is going to go down, because what's happening is that the employees are constantly hearing, we're going to be taken over by UAB. What does that mean for my job? What does that mean for my current pension? The patients are concerned because it's not the quality of service, it's the ability to pay it, which is the reason why on a national scale, that's why we had the Affordable Care Act, because we need patients to be able to afford a copay so that they can be treated.
From what I understand, UAB already handles a lot of these services. I mean, they get about half of the indigent care fund, is that correct?
In 2007, they got 26 million. This year, they are already at 20 million. But this isn't about UAB. That's what y'all need to fully understand. It's the way the county handled the process of changing over to an energy care system. It has absolutely nothing to do with UAB. Trying to make this document so private to the employees to know what was going on. You have 26 employees that's right now at the retirement years, they're tenured to where they can retire out of the county system. What are you going to do about those? Why you can't make them whole again and then transfer them over to the system if that's what you're going to do? Why you didn't make that available for them to make a choice? You didn't do that. But what you did do, in the authority proposal, you could put a code in there to where the commissioners couldn't share it with professional doctors, with a professional attorney that handles things like this, to try to put us in a corner to where we would keep secrets from the employees and the patients. That is not how you transfer anything over. You're supposed to, this is public money. These are public dollars. The books should be open to the public. And that's what they are not doing. This has nothing to do with UAB, but the process that the county is taking the patients through and the people who work for this facility.
The next question either of you can answer. The vote yesterday, 3-2. That will likely be the vote tomorrow. So it looks like, is there anything y'all can do to stop this?
I believe it's something that the public can do. And that's the reason why we're asking the public to contact their own commissioner and to let them know how they believe that they should vote. All of us are elected, and that's what we need to be very clear on. We still have a duty to the people who put us in office. And even some of the folk who are here, most of these people live in Jefferson County, and they are voters. So I'm believing, and that's the reason why I started by saying, we're not here to demonize those who voted yesterday in favor of it, because what I'm hoping will happen is that they too will have a change of heart by tomorrow. Because again, we are talking about obligating the county for a debt of more than 30 years. That's why you have that information there today. We have general obligation that we're already owing for, sewer debt we're already owing for. We already have specific categories of money that's already associated with debt. The Indigent Care Fund is one of those funds that has not been indebted. And we want people to understand that we want indigent care money to be left for indigent people, not for it to be used so that you can go and build a building and place bonds on that money. That's what we're talking about.
And nowhere in the proposal, the money follows the patient. Nowhere in the proposal. That's why I keep telling you, it ain't about UAB. The money was put in place for poor people that could not afford doctors and health care. Why that money do not follow the poor people? And why is it at one place where they control it? And when they create the authority, the authority will hire Cooper Green to run, UAB to run the facility. So that should be the only option. If you go create the authority, why isn't other people on the table with an opportunity to run the facility? Even though we know that UAB has the most money in the healthcare field to where they can do it, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. If you're going to be transparent, the book should be open to where other doctors and professionals can go in on an opinion on this. Why would you leave it to people that have brand in the ground already? You can't. You shouldn't. It shouldn't be. That's not the way to partner with anyone, and that's not the way to tell a person that you might not have a job tomorrow, or you might not have a job in October.
And the responsibility that we have. You know, we're 2 new commissioners. There were 3 new commissioners. That means the majority of your current county commission are new folk. And we were not given the courtesy to at least find out what we need to know, because we're going to be held accountable to this vote. And that's the reason why we're saying that it's not about demonizing anyone. It's about, this is a contract. This is a business contract that was placed before this Jefferson County Commission. And I'm staying with that. It is a business contract. This is about putting the county on the hook for a debt that will take at least 30 years to repay in order to have a new facility that, if we bring this back in-house, we can have our own healthcare facility. We can also have the dominance and control over our own board. Right now, we don't have it. That's what we're saying. We don't have it. So regardless of, once that vote happens tomorrow, technically, when you have 4 members of UAB versus the 3 that they have to approve by us, then our voice as a county becomes quiet, but our money speaks volume to those folk who need it most. That's what we're saying. Any other questions? All right, thank you all for coming out today. If you'd like to speak to any of the employees or patients, you can at this time. Any employee or patient want to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is David Britt. I've been working for the county for a little over 10 years. I work in the IT department, but my family is from healthcare. Grandmother, mother, and my uncle as well. So I've been around healthcare my whole life. And I've also been around since we've had our first reduction in force. We downsized from a hospital to a current clinic. It was misinformation then. It was information being withheld from the employees then. And what I do love about these 2 ladies right here, this is the closest that the employees have ever been to what's absolutely going on. And we have the utmost respect for you all, and we are very proud of what you all do. Also, like I said, this isn't the first motion or anything that has been done in this nature. Other places that have done this, they took employees first, not last, or not even thought about, period. Your employees run this place, not your elected officials. Your employees take care of these patients that, truth be told, nobody else wants to take care of. These facilities and services that have been closed here, that have been outsourced to other areas, the patients don't want to go. They would really like to come back just because of the way they are being treated. A lot of things people are afraid to say, but healthcare, in my opinion, healthcare and politics have no business being intertwined. Healthcare is about truth and being upfront and being transparent. Politics, as we all know, do not fall in those categories. All I have to say is, you too will be a patient one day. And you will reap what you have sowed. So, like I say, it's easily can be done that another option can be brought about and put on the table that can at least take these employees into consideration. They're not pieces of paper and they're not garbage. Just because you don't come here to be seen for health care doesn't mean that it's not good.
What is your biggest fear out of this? Is it patients or is it for the employees or is it both?
It's both. My biggest fear is I don't want to see what happened when we downsize as a hospital happen again. Like I say, they told us, oh, you're fine, you're safe, everybody's going to be fine, your job is going to be okay. That was Monday. Come Wednesday, they passing out over 300 pink slips. That's all we want. Do you realize how much comfort you can provide somebody by just telling the truth? You've known what you want to do 3 months ago. You tell us 2 days out or the day before. That's not right. And then you wonder why people are mad, on edge, coming back with bad thoughts in their head. Look how they're being treated. The main reason why our patients are afraid to talk and don't want to talk, they've been beat down. They're tired. They're tired of coming and pouring out their heart to somebody that just says, I'm ready to go to lunch. So that's all we are asking is, if you want information, vital information, and real information, come to the source, please.
Yes.
Please come to the source. Talk to these employees. Talk to the patients. Look at the patients.
Patient.
And little do people know, this demographic of the patients that we see here is not all one color.
That's right. You're not out of one zip code.
Thank you. It affects Alabama as a whole, not just people that's not over the mountain.
Both sides of the health. I've worked and had insurance, and I've not worked and not had insurance and been indigent. I've been indigent more than I've had insurance. And if it hadn't been for Cooper Green, I wouldn't even have my daughter here in '84. And I almost died here when I had her, and they saved my life. And I'll never forget that.
Can you say and spell your name for us?
Say and spell your name.
DONNA Donna Sullivan.
Would you like to have his name as well?
What's David?
David Britt, B-R-I-T-T.
David, you mentioned that you're taking the politics out of healthcare, but that was the argument of these commissioners that voted for this.
Right.
That this would take the politics out of that. Maybe the commissioners can address that?
It's not even, it's not that. It's the process was full of politics. Why are you gonna take it out after everyone has lost their jobs? You need to take it out before, where you can save their jobs and you can save the agony of these patients.
Right.
You don't do it after. That's what the county reacts after instead of before. What's your option before? They knew back in 2012 that they was going to lay off. Why they didn't inform the employees? Well, they could have went and put all of these years into VA. The VA have great retirement. They could have built their years up over at the VA. Why would they let them sit here and put all these years in the county, then pull the rug out from under them, and they won't even get a chance? They right at the borderline of their retirement.
And I agree. I'm sorry.
And they had an opportunity. We have an HR department that could have done this. These employees are up on the HR department. They could have done this. For mistreating your workers, regardless of that. It's just no excuse. And it's no way the pressure these employees are up under, it's no way it's not being spilled off on the patients. Because the patients care about the people work up here because they take care of them.
And when we speak of the politics, let me say something as relates to that. It can't help but to be political because politicians are actually deciding the fate. I think that that's very dishonest to say that you're taking the politics out of a document, meaning this contract, that is being voted on by politicians. And that's the reason why we talked about lack of transparency. What Commissioner Tyson and myself agreed to do when we came over to the county is to be transparent. Transparency to us means that when we see a county employee on the street or at county commission, the answer is still the same. That's the reason why we wanted to make sure that the public knew. You need to know what this contract is all about. Doesn't matter about what they're saying it is. We have presented today what it is. And what it is the sale of property, the makeup of this board, and the sale of bonds obligating Jefferson County as a government to be able to build a new Cooper Green facility. That's what this is about, and that's what's going to happen. Now, let me just say this. I agree with Commissioner Tyson. The issue for employees obviously has not been a concern because in 2012, you made a mistake then. What I've said is, why not make it right now?
That's right.
We can say we made a mistake as a body that we were not a part of in 2012. It's 7 years later, and you still have the same response from the same county government that they work for and have invested their pension into. And you have people who are these people, meaning the poor people of Jefferson County, they depend on us to make the right decision. They're not at the table. We're at the table. And we're saying that we want to be afforded to explore all options before there is a decision made. And if we are to go with UAB, UAB should not have total control over the makeup of this board. We want to know where the proceeds will come from the sale of this place, okay? And in addition to that, if we're going to obligate ourselves to bonds, we need to know what does that cost. This contract doesn't even specify the cost of what it's going to take in order to build this new facility. So right now, if they wanted to build a facility for $50 million, $75 million, we don't even know that. And we're giving them the authority up front, the money up front, and we're not taking under consideration how we're going to repay it.
Because you know all of the energy care money will go into a separate account, which will be controlled by the authority. So that means the county will have no say-so over that money, period. Not one dime of it. And I don't think people really looking at the big picture. We will not have any say-so. Once that money, we vote on that money to go over there, it's gone. We can't get none of it back. And that's the reserve money too. And the money that they sell this building and tear it down, they trying to put that money into the energy care bank account too. So that we will have no control over that money, no say-so over that money. I know how important health care is. My grandbaby is sick now. I had to go and check on her over at Children's Hospital. So people need to get their stuff straight. You don't know what happens in people's lives.
That's right.
You don't know why I had to leave. You don't know what's going on in my family. So they need to quit this mess. The county is wrong. The bottom line, they are wrong. My brother died up here. Both of them. So you can't tell me nothing about it. He was on a waiting list for chemo. How can you be on a waiting list in a county, biggest Jefferson County, all this money? You can't tell me nothing about it. I had 2 family members to die up here. So they are playing games with people's lives.
That's
And
right.
they need to quit it.
That's right.
And that's why we're being very adamant. I think that Commissioner Tyson is sharing the tears I had yesterday, talking about the fact that I had surgery at the start of this year. My mother worked at this place. I would be lying to say that if I don't care about employees, my mother was once an employee of Cooper Green Hospital, worked on floor 7 West. My mother worked here. My mother retired from the Jefferson County Health Department. And speaking of death, I agree with it. I've had family members to pass here. But let me tell you again what's at stake. What's at stake is about these bonds. This is about MONEY.
That's right.
This is about bonds
Right.
being floated, and the county is going to be on the hook for it. This is a business contract. We are not questioning anyone else's care or concern. We're expressing what we're concerned about because we have a vote tomorrow. There are other 3 commissioners, they have a vote tomorrow. I am asking the public to contact your commissioner as a voting citizen in their district to let them know we need Cooper Green. We need to make sure the indigent care funds are not being sold for bonds or being used for bonds. That's what this is. Because we're not just talking about $54 million. I want to make sure we get that accurate. It is $54 million for indigent care services. But when you talk about borrowing money off of that $54 million, that's the issue. Borrowing money off of the $54 million indigent care fund that we receive and collect as taxes on behalf of Jefferson County for the citizens of Jefferson County. Am I making sense now?
And the meeting will be investment tomorrow. They went so far as playing games. They put it on the agenda because they knew that the work session will be in Birmingham Tuesday. And the meeting will actually be investment. So everyone is going to run downtown. But we'll be investment at the new courthouse in the basement. Investment.
9 a.m. sharp.
9 a.m.
That's right.
Still, I just want to say the reason I got this card in my hand, y'all, I'm a patient at Cooper Green. I'm not just here because I'm an activist. I'm a patient. I've been here about 20-some years being a patient here. This is going to be a double disaster on not only the patient but the employees as well. Why UAB all of a sudden stepping in? That's something to think about. All of a sudden stepping in, you know what I mean? UAB, the first person to ask you up there is where your insurance is. They don't ask you about your health first, they ask you about your insurance. And the wait time already up there is 10 hours before you see a doctor. Right. So if they do this here, it's going to double up. 20 hours before you see a doctor. And it's sad. Now we had a man in the White House, I know this ain't going to get on them cameras. We had a man in the White House going to help us with this stuff. They turned him down. They didn't want his money. So look what happened behind it.
Anyone else? Got any more questions?
Commissioner, may I
Yes.
say something?
Yes, come on.
My name is Kevin Hagan. I was an Employee Association president during the time of our layoff. They made a bad decision then. It was all about money, and it's always been about money. So they made a bad decision on the bonds during Larry Langford, and they're about to repeat history all over again. And if we do it again, we may not survive as a county. We won't live. The employees won't be here. We went through that layoff. For over 11 months, Jefferson County employees were laid off, the citizens suffered, services was cut back, and this is what happened.
Remember the tagline.
I remember. It will devastate the county if they do this again.
So again, I want to make sure that we're on one accord in terms of making sure that you all know that we'll be at Bessemer Courthouse in the morning, 9 a.m. sharp. That's when this vote will take place. We're asking the public to contact their representative for their district. This is a contract that is not about the quality of care for UAB and the services that they can provide. This is about floating bonds on the indigent care fund. I want to make sure for accuracy for you all to report it as it is. Read the contract. It is stipulated. This contract is about bond issuance, okay, on the indigent care fund. So we're not here in our feelings and just talking about patient and employees. We're talking about what is being presented tomorrow for a consideration of the Jefferson County Commission and how this will impact the revenue of Jefferson County. Did it once, we don't want to do it again. All right, thank you all for coming.
Can we get the story?